Hello everyone. It's been a while, but I'm excited to get back into making videos about Unity's ML agents. To ease myself back in, I've put together a short tutorial on how to use the ray perception sensor with your agent. This tutorial follows directly on from my series, Get Started with ML Agents in Unity. You could in fact consider it an unofficial Part 7, so if you haven't completed that series yet, I'd recommend doing so first, as we'll be picking up the finished project from that series and adapting the agent to make use of the ray perception sensor. You'll find a link to the series playlist in the description below. Before we dive in, I also want to mention that you can download the completed project from my Get Started with ML Agents series by joining my Patreon. Access is available through the Script Surveyor tier for just $3 per month. This is the exact project we'll be using as our starting point in this tutorial, and you'll also have access to the finished project from this tutorial as well. It's a great way to jump straight in without having to build everything from scratch. You'll find the link to my Patreon in the description. Thank you for your support. Right now, you may be wondering, what exactly is this ray perception sensor? Rather than explain it in the abstract, let's add one to our agent first. That way, we can talk through what it does with the actual component right in front of us. Alright, let's get started. Whether you've downloaded the finished TurtleAgent project, or you've built it yourself by completing the tutorial series, go ahead and open it now in the Unity editor. Make sure the scene containing the TurtleAgent training environments is open. Now in Project Assets, go to the Prefabs folder and double-click on the environment prefab to open it. Right-click on the Turtle GameObject, and from the context menu select Create Empty. Rename the new GameObject to Ray Perception Sensor. With this GameObject selected, go to the inspector, click Add Component, search for the Ray Perception Sensor 3D component, and add it. You will notice a Ray Perception Sensor 3D component is now attached to the corresponding GameObject. So what is this component, and what does it actually do? In simple terms, the ray perception sensor casts a fan of rays out from the agent, a bit like laser beams firing out in different directions. Each ray checks three things. Did it hit something? What did it hit? And how far away was it? The sensor identifies what it hits based on Unity tags. However, it doesn't detect tags automatically. We need to tell it which tags to look for by adding them to the component's detectable tags list. We already have our walls and goal tagged, so we will configure that shortly. But first, you may have noticed that I didn't add the ray perception sensor directly to the Turtle GameObject itself. Instead, I created a child GameObject and added it there. So why did I do that? You could absolutely add the sensor directly to the agent's GameObject, and it would work just fine. However, placing it on a child GameObject has a couple of advantages. First, it gives you flexibility over the positioning of the sensor. Because the rays originate from the transform of the GameObject the sensor is attached to, we can adjust exactly where the rays fire from by simply moving this child GameObject around. Second, this setup makes it easy to add multiple sensors to the same agent. If you take a look at the Behavior Parameters component on the Turtle, you'll see a checkbox called Use Child Sensors. This is enabled by default. So, for example, you could have one sensor scanning horizontally and another angled downward, each on its own child GameObject, and the agent would receive observations from both. Just one word of caution when using child sensors. The rays will be stopped by any colliders in their path, so make sure they don't inadvertently hit colliders that are part of your agent's own body. Alright, now let's tell the sensor which objects we want it to detect. With the ray perception sensor selected, go to the inspector and find the Detectable tags list. We need to add two entries here, so click the plus button twice. This will create two new editable fields. In the first field type wall, and in the second type goal. Make sure these match exactly the tags we assign to our wall and goal objects, as tags are case sensitive. So we know that each ray can detect what it hits and how far away it is. But how does that information actually get fed into the agent's observations? Well, for each ray, the sensor automatically generates a small set of float values. If you remember from part 3 of the Get Started with ML Agents series, we manually added float observations in the Collect Observations method to tell the agent where things were. The ray perception sensor does something similar, but it handles the whole process for us. It generates the observations and registers them with ML agents automatically. So what exactly are these float values that the rays produce? Each ray produces a number of floats equal to the number of detectable tags, plus 2 additional floats. In our case, we have 2 detectable tags, wall and goal, which means each ray will produce 4 floats. The first float will be 1 if the ray hit a wall and 0 if it didn't. The second float will be 1 if the ray hit the goal and 0 if it didn't. The third float is a miss flag. It's 1 if the ray didn't hit anything at all and 0 if it hits something. So if the miss flag is 0, but our first 2 floats are also 0, that tells us the ray hit something that isn't in our detectable tags list. Finally, the fourth float is the normalized distance to whatever was hit, a value between 0 and 1, where 1 would be the maximum ray length. So with 7 rays, each producing 4 floats, the sensor feeds a total of 28 float values into our agent's neural network. And the best part is, all of this happens automatically. As a result, some of the code in the TurtleAgent's Collect Observations method is now redundant. Let's open the TurtleAgent script and make the relevant changes. Navigate to the Collect Observations method. Remove the 2 lines that add the goal's X and Z positions, along with their corresponding variables. Keep the turtle's position and rotation observations. Since the ray perception sensor will now handle detecting walls and the goal, we no longer need the goal position observations. However, in this project, I've decided not to rely on the rays to infer the position or orientation of the agent. Therefore, we will keep the turtle's position and rotation as manual observations. You can see that we are now adding a total of 3 manual observations. Save the script and return to Unity. With the turtle game object selected, find the behavior parameters component in the inspector. Now here's something that catches a lot of people out. The ray perception sensor automatically registers its observations with ML agents. We do not add the sensor's observation count to the vector observation space size. Therefore, the space size in behavior parameters should only reflect any additional observations that we manually add in Collect Observations. The ray sensor handles its own observations separately. So, since we've removed the 2 goal position observations and kept the remaining 3, set space size to 3. Also, take a look at the model field. You probably have the trained model assigned from the earlier tutorials. If so, go ahead and remove it. That model was trained with a different observation setup, so it won't be compatible with our new configuration. And let's remove the model from our project assets also. Go to the Assets AI Models folder and delete the Turtle Onyx file. Now let's head back to our ray perception sensor component and let's take a look at its settings. First up is the sensor name. This is just an identifier for the sensor. It's used internally by ML agents to keep track of sensors on an agent. We can leave this at its default value. Just keep in mind, if your agent has multiple sensors, make sure you give a unique name to each of them. We've already configured the detectable tags, so let's go through the remaining settings. We'll be leaving all of these at their default values, but it's still worth understanding what each one does. Rays per direction determines how many rays are cast on each side of the center ray. The default is 3, which gives us 1 center ray plus 3 on each side, for a total of 7 rays. More rays would give the agent better spatial resolution, but they also increase the observation size. 7 is a good starting point for our simple environment. Next is max ray degrees. This controls how far out the outermost rays spread from the center. We will leave it at the default of 70. This will allow our TurtleAgent to perceive most of its forward hemisphere. Now let's look at sphere cast radius. When this is set to 0, the sensor uses thin line ray casts. When it's set to a value greater than 0, each ray becomes a sphere cast instead. Imagine the ray having thickness like a tube rather than a thin line. This makes detection a bit more forgiving since the ray doesn't have to hit an object dead on. The default is 0.5, which is fine for our purposes. Ray length determines how far the rays extend into the environment. Ray layer mask controls which physics layers the rays can interact with. We will leave things as they are here. Next is stacked raycasts. This is similar to the stacked vectors setting we saw in the behavior parameters back in part 4. Setting it higher would give the agent a memory of previous frames of ray data. The default is 1, meaning only the current frame is used. We'll keep it there for now. Next we have start vertical offset and end vertical offset. These control the height at which the rays are cast. The start offset adjusts where the ray begins, and the end offset adjusts where it ends, allowing you to angle rays upward or downward. Both default to 0, which means the rays will cast straight out from the sensor's position. Since we've placed the sensor on a child game object, we can also adjust its height by moving that game object if needed. Now we come to a couple of checkboxes. The first is alternating ray order, which is enabled by default. This controls the order in which the rays are processed. When enabled, the center ray is processed first, and then the remaining rays alternate outward, left, right, and so on. If you disable it, the rays are processed in order from left to right. For most use cases, the default is fine, so we'll leave it checked. Finally, we have Use Batched Raycasts, which is unchecked by default. When enabled, this uses Unity's job system to cast all the rays in parallel rather than one at a time. This can improve performance, especially if you have many agents or a large number of rays. For our simple setup, it won't make a noticeable difference, so we'll leave it unchecked for now. Okay, I think we are ready for training. Let's see how our turtle performs with this new sensor. We will need to run a fresh training session since we've completely changed the observation structure. Exit prefab mode. Make sure all environment copies have the updated prefab. Save the scene. Now, while keeping Unity open, switch to the Anaconda PowerShell terminal. Activate the MLAgent's Conda environment. CD into the Unity project's root. Run the following command to start training. Be sure to use a run ID that you have not used previously when running training in this project. Once the MLAgent's trainer is running, switch to Unity and press play. The Anaconda PowerShell terminal should update at regular intervals with the training status. After some time, the training will eventually complete. You should see something like this in the Anaconda terminal. The training process should have generated an Onyx file. We will now import this file into our Unity project. In the File Explorer, go to the root of the Unity project. You should see a Results folder. Go into this folder and you should see a subfolder named after your training run. In my case, this folder is called RayTurtle. Open this subfolder, find the Onyx file, and drag it into the AI Models folder in Unity. Unity will automatically import the file, and you will see it appear as a new asset in your project. Let's quickly test our new trained model. Once again, open the Environment Prefab. Select the TurtleAgent, and find the Behavior Parameters component. Assign the new Turtle Onyx file to the Model field. Save your progress. Exit prefab mode. Press the play button. You should now see the TurtleAgents navigating their environments using the newly trained model. Notice that we didn't need to start the Python training backend this time. When a model is assigned in the behavior parameters and the Python backend isn't running, MLAgents defaults to running the agent in inference mode, meaning it uses the trained Onyx model to make its decisions rather than learning from scratch. As you can see, the agents have been well trained. They are moving to the goal in an efficient manner. Press stop to exit play mode. Now let's take a moment to compare the training results. Our ray perception sensor agent reached a mean reward of 0.941 by just step 100,000 and plateaued at around 0.972 with a standard deviation of only 0.011. Compare that to the original TurtleAgent from part 6, which didn't even reach a positive reward until around step 550,000, and finished training at step 1 million with a mean reward of 0.903 and a much higher standard deviation of 0.098. So the ray perception sensor made a significant difference. The agent trained faster, reached a higher reward, and performed more consistently. So why did the ray perception sensor agent produce better training results than our original agent? I think there are a couple of reasons. First, the agent can now detect walls at a distance, whereas before it had no way of sensing them until it physically collided with them. Second, when a ray detects the goal, the agent gets a sense of which direction it's in, whereas the original setup required the neural net to work out which direction to turn from raw position and rotation data, which is arguably a harder problem to learn. And that brings us to the end of this tutorial. I hope you found it useful. As always, if you did, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.